Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm glad to have you here. So in today's video we have a special video about some quick and easy budgeting tips and healthy ways to use your meat. So we're going to talk about the ways I rely on to use my meat, everything from the broth that the meat is simmering in to making different recipes to storage, as well as doing an easy and simple and healthy recipe for bone broth. So unfortunately this video is not for vegans. I appreciate all my vegan followers, but in this video specifically we will talk about the healthy ways to use the different parts of the meat, the bones and the broth in order to enhance and boost the immune system. So first of all, as you can see here, we have the broth that the meat has been simmering in, and it's a beautiful golden color. Now let me show you how I did that. So I used all sorts of different meat parts, the shanks and the steaks as well. So as you can see here, and then I cooked it on high heat with water and with some spices, and also some bay leaves to encourage the aroma and to get rid of the little yuckiness that stems from this. So I used all different types of meat parts, bone and all, because as you know, if you've been watching my videos, I'm a big fan of bone broth and I'm a big fan of meat broth as well. So it's really nutritious and it's really filled with collagen and filled with all sorts of amino acids that are important for immune health, important for the health of the skin, hair and nails, and also important for joint health as well. And this is something that we really need in our lives, especially now. So as you can see here, different parts of the meat, what I did is took them out of the freezer, defrost them, and then I put them in a large pot. I top them with cold water. Of course I washed them through before, but top them with cold water, place my spices and my bay leaf as well, and put them on high heat for about 30 minutes. And then after that I lowered the heat to allow it to simmer, and then I also allowed it to simmer for about, let's say about 4 hours, three and a half to 4 hours, and it was beautiful. It was literally like it fell off the bone, and the smell and the aroma was absolutely amazing. Of course, for the first 10 to 15 minutes I did take out the little, icky parts on the top that usually float, and this is the spice mix that I use. So this is the tagine spice mix, as you can see here. Now what I love about this is that it has all the tagine Moroccan herbal mixes. So it has coriander seeds, turmeric, and it also has black pepper. Now you know that with turmeric it's really important to have a heating spice with it, such as ginger or cinnamon or black pepper, in order to activate the curcumin, which is really important for joint health, and it also fights joint pain and joint inflammation as well. So we have a problem with that, unfortunately, here in the household. So I really was a big fan of this. It also has a lemon oil as well, so it's quite interesting because it's the first kind of herb mix that has pure lemon oil, and it has some cinnamon and other spices like paprika and other ones as well that are great for the tagine seasoning mix. So I topped it with that along with bay leaves, along with some sea salt, coarse sea salt, and into the pot it goes, simmering for about 4 hours. And now I just finished, and this is what I'm going to do with it. So I'm going to try to make the best of it. So I'm a big fan of freezer meals, plan ahead meals. I'm also currently doing the keto diet, so this is absolutely amazing for the whole family to enjoy in different portions. So first of all, you have a couple of different things to do. If you want, I would highly recommend, if you're okay with it, I would use the leftover strained liquid from the first from the boiling stage and the simmering stage of the meat. I would use this golden lovely liquid right here, as you can see, for the cooking of soups, stews, and also some curries as well, and rice. This is absolutely amazing for that. And we are now in the early winter here in Finland, so it's actually a big issue to keep our immune system up with healing, nourishing meals and soups and stews. So this would be great. I will store some of it in a glass airtight container, and the rest of it I will also place in silicone molds. Into the freezer it goes to freeze, and then I can use it individually out of the freezer into the pot where the rice is boiling, into the pot where I have soup and stews and curries, and it will really flavor the dish, and it will also add in the nutrients, add in the flavor, add in the nutrients that are here, all the collagen, all the essential amino acids, and I would not discard the fat. Now, if the fat annoys you, or if you intend to use the fat that is on the top layer here, what you can do, if you want to discard it, which I do not recommend, but what you can do if you want to use it for something else, such as cooking your omelets or cooking your food. For example, you're doing soup and you just want to saute, and you don't want to use butter, or you want to use the fat from this. So first of all, what you do here, as soon as this liquid has cooled down, I would place it in the fridge, and then the oil, the fat part, would float on top, and it would be solid. So I would then scoop it out and then put it into a different jar and store it in the fridge. Absolutely amazing, and I use it as an alternative in my savory cooking for different, as I said, different curries and different savory meals as well. So it's really nice to include that part as well. So I use the fat for the cooking that floats on top. All you have to do is just simply put it in the fridge. And the liquid, I said I use that half of it I store in the fridge for to be used in soups and curries and rices in the next 2 to 3 days, and the rest of it I will put in ice cube molds into the freezer for the future cooking to go. So that's with this portion of it. Now here we come to the meat. You've got a couple of different things. Now I'm a big fan of stews and curries, along with a side of rice, or cauliflower rice in my instance, where I'm doing keto at the moment. So we've got a big portion here of meat. One thing you can do is you can use it right now for any recipe you have, or what I tend to do, and that's why I've cooked it in batches. I'm just going to discard the bone, leave it aside to use for something else, which we'll get later on, and I will take the meat out and simply either slice it or just put it into chunks on a large pan, put in a baking paper, and then layer out the meat, either sliced up or into chunks, into the freezer. Half a day, it's frozen. I will then put it into a container that is freezer friendly, and then every time I need to cook a stew or a curry that requires meat, or I need meat in my recipe that's already cooked, I just take out the chunks from that container in the freezer and I place it in my cooking. So that has worked amazing, because this literally, as you can see, it took me hours to cook and to make sure that it was at the right flavor and at the right way cooked. So it does take a long time, and it is very time consuming. So if you have a pressure cooker, yes, definitely get that done. The pressure cooker, mine actually broke and I need to get one, so it was a lifesaver for me, because on the stove I would cook it for about 4 to 5 hours altogether, but in the pressure cooker it literally was 30 minutes and that's it. It would be exactly the same way. So the pressure cooker is the way to go. So I usually rely on it that way. Is I freeze the portions that I want into the pan with the layered baking paper, and then I divide it into containers to be used later on for sandwiches, for stews, for any sort of meat recipe that requires it. And also with the bones, as you can see here, I've actually really chosen the meat to contain as much bones as possible, because I will use the bones to make another batch of bone broth. So these bones are really essential, and this is what we need. This is what we need to look for, is the marrow inside the bones, which contain all the amino acids. And I know that for some that might sound really disgusting, and my kids would be just shocked that I do that, but I really need to make sure that they get that nutrients at a young age for them, and it's really essential to get that nutrition in while you can. So for the bones, I will separate the bones from the meat, as I said, and as you can see, they literally fall off the meat, which is absolutely amazing. And I will also focus especially on the bones that have the marrow in them, and then I will put them in a pot, Cover them with cold water. Add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. You don't have apple cider vinegar, you can use 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon of sea salt, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, for example, any acidic base. So put the bones, as much bones as you can, into a pot, a large pot. Top it with cold water, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar or any acidic base, and then add whatever veggies you can. Let that sit. Before you add the veggies, let the water and the apple cider vinegar with the bones sit for about 30 minutes in order for the apple cider vinegar to do its cold extraction of the minerals. This is really necessary. I do not need to roast the bones because they've already been cooked through. So if I was dealing with raw bones, I would need to roast it to enhance the flavor and to ease the extraction process of the minerals. But in this case, I don't need to cook that. I don't need to roast it. So I just use the bones as they are and allow the water, apple cider vinegar to sit with the bones in the pot 30 minutes, and then I'll put it on the lowest heat possible and add my veggies, add in parsley, add in bay leaves, add in this lovely seasoning mix again to enhance the flavor, and put it on low heat, the lowest heat I can. Put the pot on. If you are comfortable with adding some organic veggie scraps as well, any veggie scraps that you have laying around that are clean and that you want to use them, I usually put in my veggie scraps into the freezer, as you know, and pile them on in a container that way, so then they would be perfect to use for my bone broth or veggie broth, whichever. So then put the broth along with the ingredients on the lowest heat possible for about 6 to 12 hours. And then after that, strain it, discard the bone, and you have lovely, nourishing bone broth ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed the video. We are over 12 minutes right now. If you are still watching, thank you so much for supporting the channel. It's really lovely to have an audience to share with what I'm doing on a regular basis. And this is my experience. This is what has helped me and my family in ensuring that we have the nourishment required during these super cold months and times. So take care, and if you enjoyed the video in any way, it has helped you, like, share and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Take care and have a great day. Bye bye.